Pampered Chef gives on a fundraiser?
Started 15 now.
Okay.
What? Over 600 is 17%. I mean, that looks
15%. And what is it if it's under 600? 10%. So if the fundraiser brings in only $590 in orders, Pampered Chef will give them $59. They get 10%. If they get that to 600, they're going to get $90. They almost, I mean, it almost ends up feeling like double by the time you get there, but half again as much. So you always want to shoot for having your fundraiser be over $600 because it's really not worth your time or their time when it's under that, particularly theirs. And then they can do a show that's $500 to get $50. Is it worth their hassle to do another one? Not really. So you want to make sure that they're happy with it as well. And then what I do, if you are reading the letter at all, you see I donate a portion of what I make from it. That's my personal preference. Nobody has to do that. Did you do that with your fundraisers?
I do.
Okay, how about you?
Yep, I do.
Okay.
What percent?
You did fundraiser. So I give them 10%, but that's because I'm a director and I make more than you do.
I limit it now to, the last one I did, I upped the ante, so to speak. So I said if you sell over, depending, because my team is only like 12 to 16 kids. So I said if they sell over 2,000 or 3,000, whatever the mark I put, then I'll give, I say I'll give 5% up to here, and then I'll give 10%. And that's of my commissionable sales amount.
Right.
For me, what I do, if I tell them that we need to do $600 minimum, and because my child is personally involved in this, I will be giving an additional percentage of the sales. If my kid is not involved, then it's just a straight whatever Pampered Chef gives.
Do you guys deduct that off your taxes as a donation?
Yes.
Yep. Do you do it off your personal taxes or your business?
Actually, you can put it on the Schedule C as an advertising expense.
Oh, really?
Interesting. Yes.
Awesome.
Okay. Anybody else? Has anybody else in here done a fundraiser? Okay. Jen?
I love them. They're awesome.
Okay. And how do you do it? Do you just do it with the Pampered Chef amount, or do you donate?
I usually tell them I will give I think I give an extra 10% unless my child's involved. And then I say I match the Pampered Chef donation.
That's what I do. With my
So if my
involved.
kids are involved, I match the Pampered Chef donation.
Right.
But that still saves me the 2% plus the 3%,
Right.
so 5% that covers my paperwork cost.
Yep. Yeah. So you still have that little bit. Yes. You leaving? Oh, already so soon?
Bye, Jamie.
Love you guys. Have a good time.
Rose, you said you've done fundraisers?
I haven't. I always give 5%.
Okay.
I've never given more than that, whether or not my kids are involved.
Okay.
But I tell them at the start, if you only get to $600 or $5 whatever, Pampered Chef only gives you 10%, and I don't put anything in that, so they have to put some
It has
effort
to be
into
above
it.
it to get.
So as long as it's $600 or $1,000, $600 or $1,000,
That's the one.
I'll put in that 5%.
Yeah, and when I do it, and when I have a new fundraiser, I do that. I do kind of like Leslie does, where it's 5% if it's up to a certain amount, and then and I've kind of been playing with that, but I have a lot of repeat ones, so I know that they're going to bring in the money, and so I don't worry about it. So, I'll hold up the site. So, lost my train of thought on that one. I feel like Heather. Dang it. You suck. Where was I going with that?
Talk about repeat and the fact that you have all this repeat
The
ones.
repeat knows. So, yes. Oh, so what I've been asked before is how can you afford to give 10%? And I mean, you're not making much money.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still making 10%. Okay, so I do a $12,000 fundraiser. $1,200, and what did I do? I hired my kids to make my packets for me. Okay, so they get 10 cents per sticker, 10 cents to stamp the catalog. It's my kids, so it's a small business expense. They make, I figured it out at the rate that they make these envelopes, that they're making about $25 an hour working for me.
Nice.
And they're 15 and 13. That's a pretty sweet paycheck. Now, my son is finally figuring that out. Initially, he's like, 10 cents? Yeah. So I pay my kids to do this part for me. And then I deliver the packets. The teachers or coaches or whatever pass them out to people. They collect them. I tell them, you don't need to total anything up. I don't want them messing it up. Don't mess it up. Just seal those envelopes up, and return them to me like that. I will do all the rest. I count the money, I process the orders, you know, you don't have to do anything with this. So then when I get them, depending on how much I made, $12,000 fundraiser takes a little while to input, but I'm doing it at my time, when I'm at home, after I put my kids in bed, I mean, whatever, but it's not, I'm not having to leave my house to do it. So I can do it for half an hour, and come back to it, whatever, however I wanna do that. Yes, ma'am?
You said you don't want them to do any, are you meaning, when they put in an order form, you don't even want them to total it up?
No, the people who have ordered, good question, the people who have ordered have totaled it and put their check with it or their credit card or whatever payment they're trying to do.
But combined together, you don't want.
But I don't want the teacher to then take this packet and go through and say, okay, this kid has a total of $400 in orders and all the money's accounted for. I don't want to mess them with it. The more people that open this, the more chance you have of losing things out of it. The only time I've ever had something come without a payment, where they said the payment was included, was in this Colony one that I recently did, where the teacher took all of the order forms out, tallied everything up, a check was lost somewhere in the process. Somewhere between her and me, it was lost because she remembers that it was there.
So what happened?
The guest, I told the guest to hang on because I know her, so I said, we'll just wait, see if it surfaces. If it doesn't, then you just cut me the check, and so she'll cut me the check. But, I mean, she would have at that point, too. She would have given me a credit card number or a new check, but I thought, well, let's just wait and see if it shows up in the classroom. Because they did 2 fundraisers at once, so she's sorting stuff. So I got some of the other lady's stuff, and I'm sure she may end up with some of mine. And, you know, if they start messing with it, it just turns into a big old ugly mess. So way easier, and if they leave them in the envelopes, you know who gets the order. And Judy has helped me sort fundraisers before. One of I think at that time, you know, I have learned after doing the first $9,000 fundraiser, I learned that that's really stupid. So what I do is I submit it in 3 or 4 shows, and you have $2,000 or $3,000 shows. Way easier to sort from 5 or 6 boxes than it is to sort from 30 boxes.
Oh my gosh.
So you've got you got this big choir room, and you have 30 boxes and everything laid out in piles, and you walk like 100 miles by the time you've probably put all the orders together. I do go and do the orders for them, put them in the bags, label the bags for them to send home with the kids. Why do I do that? Anybody know?
Customer service?
It's accurate.
You know it's there.
You know what's
It's
missing.
accurate. The first time I did not do that, the 6th grade fundraiser, first bigger one I had done, 6th grade fundraiser, and I kept getting all these phone calls. I'm missing this is broken, whatever, you know. Like, ugh. So then I get a call from the teacher, and he's like, yeah, I got a box of stuff that was left over. Leftovers? There shouldn't be there might be one item that was, there should not be a box of leftovers. So then I have to go through and go, okay, you have a cooling rack. I sold those to 4 different people. Let's find out who's missing their cooling rack. Call them all up. Did you miss something from your order? So it's a pain. If I sort them, I bag them, then the worst that can happen is the kid's going to lose it between there and home. And that has never happened. Yeah.
So if you have one fundraiser that you've made the 12,000, how are you submitting it? If you submit it in 3 or 4 shows, is it considered shows, or you're submitting it as a fundraiser?
Fundraiser shows. As long as they're over $600 each.
It's a fundraiser.
Well, no, it's still a fundraiser if it's less, but as long as they're over $600, you're not gypping them by doing it in multiple shows, because they still get the same percentage.
Gotcha.
And so when you look at the number of shows I've done for the year and it says 92 shows or something like that, well, that's really skewed, because I have a fundraiser show that's like 6 or 7 shows that are, you know, put in, and I have another one here that's 4, but you know, so it really messes with my show average and drags it down.
Darn that.
I know, I hate that.
Heather has a question.
Yeah.
I wanted to just add what I do with the sorting, because it's hard to sort that much by yourself. I have them help me, but after all the bags are put together, I go through each bag, and they staple the little packing slip to the bag. And so I'll look in that bag, look in the packing slip, and I'll do little checks, those little boxes where there's checks, and I make sure everything's in there. But that's another option too, so that you're still there though, and you know that it's right.
Yeah, and sometimes I have them help too.
When Mary Ann
You know,
had her surgery, and I did her order, I had some of the kids inquire, help me do that, and that's what we did. We took their checklist.
And the difference between that and them doing it themselves is that you're helping the kids.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, they seriously will let sixth graders sort out the order and decide what goes home with them. What are they thinking? They're sixth graders. They don't, you know, some of them might not even know how to read those things, and they're not going to take the time to read it.
Oh, ouch!
Okay, maybe they can. All right. So one of the other thing, what I'm really trying to change with my fundraisers, and this year worked pretty well. It probably doubled the number of orders that came in on the internet versus what I usually have. If they come in online, it's so much easier because then it's click, 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 and it's in the show. You know the order is totaled correctly because the computer did it for you. You don't have to mess with that. The only thing that I change is if they're ordering it in Wasilla or Palmer, it automatically adds that tax, and it might not be in the city limits, so I'll take that out if it's not in city limits.
Right to the camera so Pampered Chef can hear you.
Yeah.
And not charge us tax.
And the whole tax thing's kind of a pain. Are you gonna send this to Pampered Chef? 'Cause I'll say that whole tax thing for you.
Say it again, because I think I missed it.
So if you're in Palmer or Wasilla, you're automatically charged tax on the show unless you exempt it. Well, the city of Palmer is this big, but 99645 is this big.
Right.
So the only ones that are required to pay that city tax is like where Erica lives. So right here, there's this much that's taxable and all of this that isn't, but it's got the same zip code.
You know, I noticed that.
So it's all charge tax. The same thing with Wasilla, although Wasilla is easier because if you put it in Palmer, then there's like
Red flags
all
everywhere.
kinds, yeah, because Palmer is, the city of Palmer.
Put that down a little bit.
The sales tax thing. So one of the things I did this year to try to increase the number of orders that came in online versus on paper was that I made my order form two-sided, which I do anyway if there are 100 different items for the guest special, like all of the cookbooks. So this is one. This does not match the letter that's going around, but this one has all of the cookbooks as the special. So I will copy them this way, so they've got the front and back. And I added this section at the bottom that says directions for ordering from the website. I used to have this little box I put right up here that said online ordering is greatly appreciated or is easy or something, and I say that in my letter, and it had the website. But here I've got step-by-step directions on how to order it online, and it really increased the number of orders that came in online by having that on there. The only thing I caution you with is that when you do this, do a much better job than I did of proofreading it. Because if your phone number is 8416892 and you type 6982, 6982 does not get very happy. And
Can you take the message and give them my new number, please?
so, once I found out that I had made that mistake, and I had about 800 packets out at the time with that mistake on it because I just copied and pasted and I had all these fundraisers going. And then somebody said, you know, you got your number wrong on there. And I'm like, I'm looking at it going, no, it's right. It's right here. It's right up here. But it's wrong right here. And that's the one they looked at. So I called the lady because they said, this lady's not very nice. And I'm like, oh, I'm dreading this phone call. So she answers the phone, and I just said, my name's Mary Ann Johnson, and I'm a Pampered Chef consultant, and I owe you a huge apology. And it was a very good conversation. We had a good chat back and forth, and then she asked for a catalog. So maybe it's a good thing to put the wrong number on there. So if you look at this, you will see that my number is wrong on the back of that one, but I have since fixed that. And much nicer that way. So, but then after that phone call, I never heard again that there was a problem. So if somebody called her, she was probably saying, oh, she put her number down wrong, it's 6892. Instead of, I'm not a Pampered Chef consultant, leave me alone. She thought like there was some kind of prank because she kept getting Pampered Chef phone calls. Why would you